Today on the table I have the CZ75 SP01 and the CZ P07. Both the firearms are chambered in 9mm. The CZ75 is about $46 than this particular model of the P07. Length, even with the threaded barrel, the CZ75 is still a longer firearm. It's also taller, even with the night sights and the extended mag on the P07, the 75 is still a taller firearm. Width, they're pretty similar. Weight, the internet says that the P07 is a lighter firearm. My scale isn't the most accurate, but I'm not seeing a difference in the weight. They're almost identical. So, I don't know if that was an internet mess up or if my scale is just not that sensitive, but I can usually tell the difference in the sensitivity, in the weight of a firearm, even though it's not that sensitive. When you purchase the firearms, the 75, you're going to get a trigger lock, owner's manual, this little electronic target they did, warranty card, changeable back strap, a couple of tools, a second 18-round magazine, gun cleaning utensils, and a very nice hard case. It's hinged in the back exactly like you'd like to see a hard case. The latching mechanism in the front is hinged, and it does have a little spot for a padlock. The P07, you get the exact same case. But you get tools so you can, or parts, so you can actually make this a single action only. You can flip this to safety so it won't be a decocker. A second 17-round magazine. Gun cleaning tools, trigger lock, tool, changeable back straps, owner's manual, and like I said, the exact same case. Unfortunately, neither of the two firearms come with a sticker. Now the sighting systems, the 75 uses a more retro style. It's a glow-in-the-dark front sight, it's not tritium, but that was kind of like the style of this style of firearm, if that makes any sense. Your P07 does have suppressor height night sights on this particular model. They are tritium sights. They also have the suicide sights. Just in case you decide you don't like the firearm, you can make sure to aim properly and get the job done right. The CZ75, aside from the fact that the front sight is not tritium, it's just glow in the dark, which, whatever, these sights are far superior than the P07. One, you get a longer sight radius, so that's pretty awesome. It just helps you. The sights are lower, so you're going to have much faster follow-up shots, and it's going to come on to target much quicker. For 75, because the sights are so tall, you can lose the front sight behind the rear sight, which, that sucks. It really does. You have to change the way you bring the firearm into action. You have to lead with the front. Basically, you have to kind of like bring it into action like this and then come down on it. Because always if you like go straight out and you lose your front sight, then you got to cant up, find it, and then cant back down and get on target. You are going to notice yourself shooting a lot faster with your standard low sights. Now the P07, I would like how it glows better because it's tritium, but unfortunately all three dots are the same color. So like with the CZ75, say, you hear this noise in your house and you pop out real quick, hit your flashlight, go back and you're like, holy crap, there's actually someone out there and they have a firearm. So you're like, I need to engage. So you come down to one knee and you come out, you'll be using instinct to aim. And then your front sight will just basically be confirmation. With all three dots being the same color, same scenario happens. But for whatever reason, when you come down on your knee, your head isn't quite following the firearm as fast. Instead of your instinct kicking in and making everything line up, you might think one of these back dots is your front dot. So where your instinct would normally kick in and correct you, seeing the three dots line up, it's going to stop you. And now you're trying to shoot with, say, this back sight, thinking it's your front sight, and you're going to be missing. With just your front sight highlighted, I do recommend all three sights highlighted, but the back has to be a different color. With just your front sight highlighted, as you come out, because you can't see your back sights, you're relying on your instinct. There's nothing telling your body that, hey, don't listen to your instinct, you're already good to go. So you'll come out, you'll instinct point, and then you'll be confirming your target with your front sight. So I much rather have these sights, even though they're at a slight disadvantage without the tritium, because they're lower, so you're going to be faster. And since, you know, you just have one color in the front and not the same color in the back, you're more likely not to have that error with instinct. The overall look of the firearms, the CZ75 has a much more retro look. This is modern. Now the actual frame, I do like the way the P.O. fits my hand. It just feels right. The CZ75, there's just not enough room between my thumb, my finger right here for my other thumb, so I'm moving it goofy. If that makes any sense. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal, but to me it is. I don't like the way the grip feels at all. Now the slide serrations, normally, like, as you've seen in my other videos when I do a Glock or something, I really complain about straight up and down slide serrations. Yeah, in a perfect world, with the firearm directly in front of you, you grip it, you pull it to the rear, everything's good. But for whatever reason, if you're low or something like that, well, now your hand isn't putting straight back pressure on it. It's at an angle pressure, so it makes it easy for your hand to slip off, especially if, for whatever reason, the slide's slippery. So I like to see them canted forward, like the P.O. But on this particular firearm, I actually don't mind because they cut them differently. You're not going to be able to see it on camera. But instead of, you know, like your straight horizontal slide and then they're cut in it like that, it kind of bows in like this. It's probably the worst demonstration ever. So instead of going like that, it goes like this. So it actually holds your finger quite well. I don't know how that would do if it would be slippery. You'd have to like pour corn syrup all over this or something and give it a try, but I don't actually mind them being straight up just because of how it's cut. Your fingers like slide into it and it holds very nicely. Now your P.O. has front slide serrations, and they are cut at the right angle, but because the slide is cut like this, and it's a non-circumcised slide, there's just not a lot of surface area. I struggle to grip these very, very hard. I'm not even going to do it because I'm afraid my hand's going to come back and smash the rear sight of my, like my other video. Now, the P.O. if you're a left-handed weirdo, this gun will work for you. You can switch your magazine release over to this side. Your decocker, right there. Now your slide release is only on the one side, but that's okay. Because if you're left-handed, you can just slingshot it instead of using your slide release. The CZ75 not going to work. Yes, your magazine is switchable, and it looks like this control is switchable, but I went through the owner's manual. I couldn't find anything about switching it over to this side. So if you're all left because you're just not right, this probably isn't going to be the pick for you unless you can confirm that this control can actually be switched over to this side. The capacity is higher on the CZ75 by 1 round. Now, if you get the non-tactical version of this, it'll have a flush mag, which will be 15 plus 1, so then you will see a substantial capacity difference over the CZ75. I really hate the base plate on the P.O. the tactical version. The CZ75 doesn't look that bad. It's nice and clean. It forms beautifully. I actually prefer it quite a bit. The CZ75, you do get a lanyard loop. And the hammer is skinnier, but it still looks cool. This is more like tactical, I guess. Trigger brake. P.O. Some take up, a little bit of creep, a little more creep, and then a pretty outstanding single action brake. Double action brake. Very heavy, lots of take up, and about what you'd expect out of a double action brake. Here's your trigger reset. Right there. A little bit long. And then your brake again. CZ75. Some take up. A lot less take up and creep over the P07. But the actual snap of it, they're pretty comparable. Double action brake. The double action brake on the CZ75 is far superior over the P07. It just brakes a lot cleaner. How the take-up is, it's a lot more fluid. There's a reset right there. A lot of take-up. And then your brake. The double action on the 75 over the P07 is far superior. The single action, they're pretty close. I could be my imagination, but I do feel the P07 has a better single action brake too. So I think I would do a better job with this just because, well, you know, you start off at double action. I could actually make an accurate shot with this. With this, just because of how the double action functions and how it brakes, I think my double action shots would go wide. As far as the single action shots go, I do kind of feel like the CZ75 has the edge over the P07, but it's not much. I actually would like to see just a little bit better out of my single action brakes on my double single pistols. Controls. Your CZ75, mag release from your normal shooting position, very doable. Decocker, very doable from your normal shooting position. Slide release, very doable from your normal shooting position. The P07, mag release, very doable from your normal shooting position. Slide release, not so much. There, I have to change my grip. I don't like that at all. No matter what, I want to keep my shooting hand with the exact same grip. Yeah, you could slingshot it, but I like options. What if I lost this hand, or it's wounded, or I fell down and I broke my fingernail, so I got my whole arm in a cast? Like, I want to be able to completely control the firearm from my one hand, all the controls. So if I have to, you know, I can put the magazine in, rack it off my body, hit the slide release, and still be able to shoot. I could do it with this firearm, but it's going to be incredibly slow. See, now instead of being into action, I got to switch the grip, which I could possibly drop the firearm. Then I gotta maneuver it back into my normal grip, and then I can shoot. Not cool at all. Another thing I really hate about the ergonomics, so you do that, you switch it forward, you drop your slide, if for whatever reason you go too far low, now you decocked it. That's probably not the biggest of issues, but I still don't like it. The triggers do look quite a bit different. The CZ75 has this curve in it. I actually think that looks pretty cool. It's also got this little cutout right here for your finger, so if you have gloves, it'll help you just a little bit. Will it help you that much? Probably not, but it still looks cool. I like the design of it, how it looks. This doesn't have quite as much curve, but it's still good to go. I mean, there's still plenty of room where you'd have to have some pretty bulky gloves not to be able to get it in there. You do have slide serrations on the front here. From what I understand, I guess some people hold it like this. Not for me. Did I say slide serrations? Anyway, serrations on the front of the trigger guard. They are also on the CZ75 though. Now, which one would I pick? Well, you have a couple of different classes. One, you're new into firearms, or this is your first CZ. Nightstand gun. You got, you know, a holster or tack vest gun. For me, neither of them I could conceal carry. They're just way too large. So going through the options. Well, if it's on the nightstand, because I was talking about like with the front sight, even though it doesn't have rear dots, I would pick this just because my instinct would kick in and I'd be less likely to be off target when I were to shoot. As a tack vest gun, yeah, you're thinking, oh, this would be great, you know, for offensive capabilities. You can screw a suppressor on there. You got your tritium night sights that are high enough to be over the top of the suppressor. I wouldn't suppress this. Because this has a non-circumcised frame, your gases are going to either escape here or escape here. If I want to suppress pistol, I'm going to pick something else. So for me, to thread a barrel on this particular firearm is useless. The sights are too tall. So, it's just not... This would not be the one I'd pick. This one has a higher capacity. Yes, it's a bigger firearm, but who cares? It's going to be in a holster or on your tack vest. The sights are more practical. It just feels better in my hand. The double action breaks better. Now, if you're new into CZs or you're just new into firearms altogether, which one should you pick? Without a doubt, I would go with the CZ75. One, it's got the name, CZ75. That's all you ever hear on the internet. The CZ75, the CZ75. The CZ P07, maybe it's just because I'm not in the CZ fan club, but I've never even heard of that model until I purchased this firearm. Plus, this has a much more retro look. This will come with a disadvantage, though. Because it doesn't have the open concept slide, you're going to struggle a lot more trying to clear malfunctions. I mean, look at that little look at that little opening you have to work with. P07, open concept slide, very easy to clear malfunctions. You'd probably just be able to go like this and then go back into action. CZ75, that's probably not going to be the case. Also, I would pick the CZ75 just because the ergos are better. I feel by a long shot. And they both do have polished feed ramps, so the likelihood of it jamming, it's going to be lower. So, the short of the story is, regardless what class you put these two firearms in, for me at least, the CZ75 is it SP01? SP01 would win in every single category. Plus, this is retro looking, so if you want to pair that up with like an AR-15A2, it'll look pretty cool next to each other. But anyway, thank you for watching. Leave in the comments below which one you would pick and why. Don't forget to subscribe.